Hey there, tonight we're diving deep into the authentic caveman experience. Not the cartoonish version with grunting and clubs, but the raw, unfiltered daily reality of people living 25,000 years ago. If you're enjoying these stories, don't forget to hit like or subscribe. It means the world to me. I'm always amazed to see where you're tuning in from. So drop a comment with your location and local time. It's mind-blowing to think of people drifting off to this across the globe. Alright, get cozy. Take a slow, deep breath and let your body melt into whatever you're lying on. We're traveling back to the Paleolithic era, and trust me, by the end of this, you'll be hugging your mattress in gratitude. So, congratulations. You've just woken up in a cave, 25,000 years in the past. The first thing that slams into you? The cold. Not just a chill, but a bone-deep, teeth-chattering freeze that locks your muscles tight. You're lying on what feels like the world's worst camping mat, scratchy bundles of sedge grass and rushes, meticulously arranged into a bed. And it's scratchy, like nature's most uncomfortable cereal, rustling with every shift. Your nose is bombarded with smells, intense, primal, wood smoke, sure, but also the musty dampness of cave walls, the lingering scent of last night's cooked meat, the sharp tang of unwashed bodies, and the underlying funk of animal fat used for waterproofing. There's something green and earthy, too, from all the grass bedding. The cave itself seems to breathe around you. Distant drips of water echo, soft snores from 20-odd people scattered on their mats, a baby's tiny sleep sounds. Outside, birds begin their dawn chorus, and something rustles in the brush. Your body aches. Yesterday was a marathon of hunting and gathering, and every muscle protests. Your feet are leather tough, but still sore from scrambling over rocks. Your back is stiff from a lifetime of sleeping on the ground. The good news? You're alive. The bad news? Pretty much everything else. But let's rewind. You're not some grunting primitive. You're scary skilled. You know hundreds of plants by name and use. You can track animals by bent grass or a scuff on a rock. You make fire from scratch, craft stone tools sharper than modern steel, and predict weather by watching birds. Every bit of that skill, it's the difference between life and death. You shift on your grass mat, trying to dodge the stems poking through your deer hide blanket. The hides are scraped and worked until they're soft-ish. Everything's relative in the Stone Age. As your eyes adjust to the dim light filtering through the cave mouth, shapes emerge. Your mate and kids nearby, parents and cousins clustered around the central fire pit. 23 people in total, a typical band. Ah, the fire, the heart of your world. Right now, it's just embers and ash, tended through the night by whoever was on watch. The glow pulses red-orange, casting shadows on the cave walls. Starting a fire from scratch is grueling work, so your people never let it die. Someone always feeds it just enough to keep it alive. You can even smell the wood they've burned. Oak and ash, some birch. Each type burns differently. Oak for endurance, birch for quick flames and sweet smoke, pine for ignition but too smoky for cooking. Time to move. You push yourself up, joints popping. Welcome to life before chiropractors. Around you, others stir, jaw-cracking yawns, echoing groans, the rustle of grass mats. Morning routine is non-negotiable. Fire first. Everything depends on it. You step onto the cold cave floor. Your calloused feet barely notice, but the chill seeps through anyway. You pass Carla, your band's best tracker, already inspecting her stone tools. Brun, the de facto leader, assesses the embers, selecting wood to revive the flames. The fire pit is a depression lined with stones, the ground around it worn smooth by generations of use. Stains from meals, char marks from stray embers, smooth patches from countless hours of tool-making. Brun nods as you approach, handing you birch bark and twigs to rebuild the fire. Together, you arrange the kindling, blowing gently until flames lick to life. The smoke thickens, mixing with the scent of hot stone. Fire, the divider between human and animal. As warmth spreads, the cave awakens. Children snap to attention. Fire means food, and everyone's stomach growls. The simplicity of hunter-gatherer life cuts both ways. No taxes or bosses, But every day begins with, what will we eat, and how do we get it? Yesterday was decent, a deer and gathered nuts. But today starts from zero. The morning unfolds with practiced efficiency. Someone heads to the nearby stream, hauling back water in containers made from animal bladders and carved wood, clear, icy liquid that tastes like the earth itself. Another reheats leftover meat from yesterday, skewering chunks on sharpened sticks to warm over the flames. It's not cooking, just a quick revival of cold scraps. But on a morning like this, even that feels like a miracle. The smell of sizzling fat mixes with wood smoke, and your stomach growls in anticipation. As you chew your portion, tough meat and a handful of yesterday's nuts, the day's plan takes shape. No PowerPoint slides here, just a loose conversation around the fire with life or death stakes. The hunting party, 6 or 7 of your strongest, will head east, following deer trails spotted yesterday. Deer are creatures of habit. Intercept them at watering holes or feeding grounds, and you might eat. But hunting with stone-tipped spears is brutal work. Most expeditions come back empty-handed. The gathering party, your group, will fan through the forest, eyes peeled for anything edible. Nuts, berries, roots, mushrooms, bird eggs, even insects. Gathering's more reliable than hunting, but it demands encyclopedic knowledge. Which berries kill you? Which roots induce vomiting? Which mushrooms are medicine versus poison? Where do birds nest? How do you leach toxins from bitter nuts? Where's the best stone for tools? Your people carry this wisdom in their heads. No Google, no textbooks. Just generations of trial and error, hard-won and meticulously passed down. Around the fire, tools are inspected. Stone blades dull fast and need constant resharpening. Spears splinter. Clothes tear. You examine your own kit. A stone knife you crafted, a wooden digging stick, a leather pouch holding fire-making supplies. The knife's edge has chips from yesterday. Time for napping, the art of shaping stone. Napping is physics meets intuition. Strike at the wrong angle, and you ruin hours of work. Too hard, and the tool shatters. Too soft, and nothing happens. You settle into the rhythm. Chip, 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 the soundtrack of survival. The blade sharpens beautifully, its edge now keener than a modern kitchen knife. You test it on leather, slicing cleanly. Good. This tool might save your life today. The cave hums with activity. Older kids help, feeding the fire, tidying sleeping areas, checking water stores. Toddlers cling to their mothers, but watch everything, learning by osmosis. Even babies are part of the workflow, nursed while mothers prep tools. Multitasking isn't new. It was invented when the first caveman cooked while rocking a cradle. Outside, the hunters make final preparations. Spear points are tested, strategies murmured. Arrows, precious few, each tipped with razor-sharp stone, are allocated carefully. Meanwhile, your gathering party assembles. 8 of you, dressed in tailored leather leggings and tunics, boots stuffed with grass for insulation. No pockets, no zippers, just toggle-fastened clothes crafted from hide scraped soft with bone tools. Every stitch serves a purpose. At the cave mouth, Brun studies the day. No weather apps here, just sky, wind, and animal behavior. Cloud shapes hint at storms. Bird flight patterns reveal pressure changes. Today's forecast, clear skies, calm winds. A good day to risk your life for dinner. You step outside, the forest sprawling endlessly. Out there, food, materials, danger. Predators, poisonous plants, rival humans, rivers that drown, cliffs that crumble. One misstep, and you're a statistic. But you inhale deeply, air untouched by pollution, thick with decaying leaves and distant musk. Sunlight, real sunlight, warms your face. No light bulbs, no screens, just the sun, moon, and fire. The path underfoot is ancient, worn smooth by generations of your ancestors. Your descendants might walk it too, if you survive today. You adjust your digging stick, grip your pouch. The hunters head east. Your party scatters into the green shadows. Every step is a gamble. The forest swallows you whole. The forest envelopes you like a living, breathing entity, an endless sea of towering oaks and beeches, their gnarled trunks wider than 5 people could embrace. Sunlight filters through the dense canopy in scattered golden beams, illuminating a lush understory of hazel shrubs and ferns. Every step crunches layers of decomposing leaves, releasing an earthy perfume of damp soil and fungal spores. Your gathering party fans out, staying within earshot but following individual paths. No one ventures alone. Solitude equals death here. Predators lurk, injuries happen, and getting lost means never returning. Kessa, your group's plant whisperer, suddenly crouches 20 feet to your left. You push through scratchy hazel branches to find her kneeling beside heart-shaped leaves and delicate white flowers. Wild garlic, she murmurs, fingertips brushing the bulbs. A triple win: food, medicine, and flavor for bland meals. Together, you dig up the bulbs with fire-hardened wooden sticks, simple tools honed to perfection. The garlic releases its pungent aroma as you wrap the thumb-sized treasures in leather. Kessa pops one raw, chewing thoughtfully. Strong. These'll keep. The day's first triumph fuels your momentum as you trek deeper into the woodland symphony. The forest thrums with life unseen, birds chattering in dialects your people decode for weather signs, squirrels rustling through leaf litter, the occasional snap of a falling branch. Your body settles into the hunter-gatherer's trance, muscles moving rhythmically, eyes scanning automatically for useful plants or danger, breath syncing with your strides. This is Paleolithic meditation, complete immersion in an environment where every detail matters. Another hour passes with scattered victories. Hazelnuts cracked from their prickly husks, tart blackberries staining your fingers purple, a log studded with oyster mushrooms only Denny knows how to distinguish from deadly lookalikes. The children would devour these finds immediately, but discipline prevails, every morsel gets sorted. Perfect berries go into storage, bruised ones get eaten on the spot. Roots are sliced and soaked to leach out bitterness. Nothing is wasted. Then Toma's excited call shatters the rhythm. By a gurgling stream, he points upward, a dark hollow in an ancient oak, buzzing with activity. Honey. Liquid gold. The ultimate calorie jackpot. Your mouth waters instinctively at the distant sweetness on the breeze. But wild bees don't surrender their treasure lightly. The plan forms swiftly. Toma, the band's best climber, will scale the tree while you build a smoke fire below. Someone preps bark containers. Everyone else braces to flee if the hive turns hostile. Smoke is key. It triggers the bee's instinct to gorge on honey rather than attack. You gather dry kindling while others stuff green leaves into the flames, creating thick white plumes that curl upward. Toma strips to his loincloth, fewer places for angry bees to lodge, and ascends with barefoot grace. His muscles ripple like river currents as he finds invisible holds in the bark. Modern rock climbers would weep at his technique, perfected through childhood survival training. The hive's buzzing quiets as smoke works its magic. Reaching the hollow, Toma worms his arm inside up to the elbow, face tight with concentration. Then triumph. His hand emerges clutching a fist-sized honeycomb, golden and glistening. He tosses it down before retrieving 2 more chunks. Enough, he decides, leaving the colony to rebuild. His descent is a controlled fall, landing lightly despite the dozen stings peppering his skin. The honeycomb is revelation itself. You break off a piece. The explosion of floral sweetness on your tongue is beyond anything modern sugars replicate. This isn't just food. It's condensed sunlight, the original ambrosia. Your cells sing with the immediate energy rush as laughter ripples through the group. Wrapped carefully in bark, this treasure will sweeten winter's bleakest days. The honey high carries your group forward with renewed energy, but the forest remains merciless in its lessons. As you trek further, Denny, your resident medicine woman, abruptly freezes mid-step. Her calloused hand flies up in warning, fingers splayed like tree roots. Instantly, your party becomes statues. The usual forest chatter has vanished, leaving an eerie vacuum of sound. Even the wind holds its breath. Through the lattice of beech branches, movement flickers, brown shapes gliding between tree trunks with unsettling purpose. Antlers materialize first, then the hulking silhouettes of elk. 7 in total, including 2 spindly-legged calves. Each adult outweighs 3 grown men, their muscles coiling like living rock beneath shaggy coats. One massive bull pauses barely 30 feet away, nostrils flaring as it locks eyes with your group. Time stretches like sinew over bone. Your fingers hover near stone knives, but attacking would be suicide. These beasts could trample you into the earth without breaking stride. Survival now depends on absolute stillness, on becoming just another part of the forest. The elk's dark eyes reflect millennia of evolutionary wisdom as it assesses your threat level. Then, with a snort that condenses in the cool air, it moves on, the herd flowing around your frozen group like water around stones. Then he exhales through her nose, making the hand sign for good omen. Elk symbolize endurance in your culture. Encountering them unharmed is the forest blessing. The tension evaporates as birds resume their songs, the woodland exhaling in relief. You resume gathering beech nuts with shaking hands, their triangular husks piling up in leather slings. These calorie-dense prizes require laborious processing, shelling, leaching, pounding, but will sustain your band through lean times. The sun dips lower, stretching shadows into elongated fingers across the forest floor. Your party begins the homeward trek along a new route. Repeating paths makes you predictable to both prey and predators. The return journey feels heavier, your pouch bulging with foraged goods digging into your hip with each step. Fatigue whispers through your muscles, but it's the good ache of productive labor. Emerging onto the ridge above your cave, wood smoke greets you like an old friend. The hunters have returned. The rich, greasy scent of roasting venison tells of their success. Children's laughter bounces off stone as they spot your group, sprinting uphill with reckless abandon. Little Mira, 7 summers old and already a budding botanist, tugs at your sleeve demanding to inspect every root and berry. Her tiny hands handle a sprig of wild mint with reverence. This is how knowledge gets passed down, not through lectures, but through dirt-stained curiosity. The cave mouth glows orange with firelight, a beacon against the encroaching twilight. Inside, the scene is organized chaos, venison sizzling on spits, hides being scraped clean, stone tools resharpened. Brun and the hunters reenact their pursuit with dramatic gestures, how they tracked the deer for hours, how Jorik's spear found its mark with surgical precision. Their story isn't bragging. It's a training manual disguised as entertainment, every detail teaching the next generation. Your own hull causes a stir. The honeycomb emerges like stolen sunlight, drawing gasps and eager fingers. Elders get first taste. Tradition dictates respect for hard-won calories. But soon everyone's lips glisten with golden sweetness. Kesser mashes wild garlic into paste to rub on meat, its sharpness cutting through the fat. The cave fills with layered aromas, charred oak, rendered marrow, herbaceous greens. As night falls, the fire becomes the stage. Old Senna begins the tale of the long winter, how snow buried the land waist deep, how your ancestors survived on cached acorns and lichen tea. Her voice rasps like wine through bare branches as she describes chewing leather to fool starving bellies. The children listen wide-eyed, but this isn't just a ghost story, it's a survival manual wrapped in narrative. Every detail about food storage locations, emergency shelters, and frostbite remedies could save their lives someday. Your body sinks into the rhythm of stone on nut, cracking shells in time to Senna's cadence. The fire paints dancing mammoths on the cave walls, their shadows mingling with actual ochre paintings left by your grandparents. This is where culture lives, in the space between practical skill and shared story, between full bellies and hungry memories. Outside, the night belongs to wolves and owls. But here, in this circle of warmth, you're rewriting what it means to be human, one carefully preserved honeycomb at a time. The firelight flickers lower now, its golden glow softening into ember-red shadows that dance across the cave walls. Your fingers work automatically, grinding hazelnuts between smooth stones into coarse flour, each rhythmic scrape releasing rich, oily aromas. Around you, the band settles into the evening's quiet industry. Jorik carves an otlotl spear thrower from antler, his brow furrowed in concentration as he shaves millimeter-thin slivers to perfect the lever's balance. One wrong cut could ruin weeks of work, but his hands move with the confidence of muscle memory. Nearby, Kessa demonstrates advanced plant processing to wide-eyed adolescents. She buries hot stones in a leaf-lined pit, creating an instant oven where tough roots transform into digestible mush. Watch the steam, she murmurs as a girl leans close. When it smells sweet, that's the poison leaving. This is chemistry class, Paleolithic style, no textbooks, just generations of trial and error distilled into life-saving techniques. Old Senna's voice rises above the crackling fire, weaving the origin story of your people. When the world was young, she begins, fingers tracing spirals in the air. The first woman struck a deal with wolf and raven. Her tales aren't mere entertainment, they're encrypted survival manuals. That bit about raven stealing fire? It's really about always carrying backup embers. The parable of wolf sharing his prey teaches meat distribution protocols. You notice Mira mimicking Senna's hand gestures, her tiny fingers struggling to replicate the story signs. The old woman catches this and smiles, deliberately slowing her movements. Tomorrow, she'll take the girl to gather willow bark and reinforce the lesson. This is how knowledge outlives individuals in an oral culture. A sudden commotion interrupts as Rana unveils the pit-cooked venison. The leaf wrappings peel back to reveal meat so tender it falls apart at a glance, infused with herbal aromas. Compared to the fire-roasted chunks from earlier, this is haute cuisine, low-temperature cooking at its Stone Age finest. The band eats with reverence, using flatbreads to sop up every drop of flavorful juices. Even the children understand this feast represents more than calories. It's the culmination of 100 specialized skills working in concert. As the meal winds down, Brun begins the nightly tool maintenance ritual. His calloused fingers probe each spearhead for microfractures, his tongue clicking when he finds a flaw. The defective point goes to 12-year-old Lauren, who'll spend tomorrow practicing his napping technique under watchful eyes. No wasted materials here. Every mistake is a teaching moment carved in stone. The fire's hypnotic glow reveals something extraordinary on the cave wall behind Senna. Those ochre handprints you've seen since childhood? Look closer. The smallest ones, high up, were made by pressing a child's palm against the stone and blowing pigment around it. Generations of children left their marks here, their tiny hands preserved alongside hunting scenes. The realization hits like a falling pine cone. You're standing in a classroom where the walls are literally made of memory. Your own hands still smell of honey and crushed mint as you help bank the fire for the night. The coals must last until dawn, so you arrange the logs with ritual care, oak for longevity, birch for quick heat if needed. Someone will tend it in shifts. Tonight it's Jorik's turn. He'll hum while working, the vibrations carrying through his bones to stay awake, an ancient trick every child learns. As you settle onto your grass mat, the cave's symphony envelopes you. The fire's whisper, a baby's sleepy suckling, the rhythmic scrape of Denny grinding medicinal herbs. The painted bison overhead seem to breathe in the flickering light, their outlines wavering between stone and spirit. This is the paradox of Paleolithic life, constant physical hardship paired with profound existential clarity. Your last conscious thought isn't of tomorrow's challenges, but of how the honey's golden hue matched the firelight in little Mira's curious eyes. The darkness wraps around the cave like a second hide, thick and velvety, broken only by the pulse of dying embers. You lie awake just a moment longer, watching the fire's glow paint fleeting constellations across the ceiling. Somewhere in the shadows, a mother's hum syncs with her nursing baby's rhythm, the oldest lullaby, unchanged for millennia. The scent of smoldering birch bark mixes with the musk of sleeping bodies and the faint iron tang of freshly scraped hides. Your body sinks deeper into the grass mat, each exhale releasing another knot of tension. The day's labor lingers in your muscles, not the jagged stress of modern life, but the solid fatigue of purposeful work. Every ache tells a story, the burn in your thighs from climbing rocky slopes, the pleasant stiffness in your shoulders from carrying the harvest, the rough patches on your palms that have forgotten what softness feels like. Beyond the cave mouth, the night chorus swells. An owl's call slices through the darkness, its echo bouncing off distant cliffs. Somewhere in the valley, wolves harmonize, not the Hollywood howl, but a conversational murmuring that rises and falls like wind through grass. These sounds don't frighten you. They're the forest's heartbeat, as familiar as your own breathing. Jorik's silhouette moves against the firelight as he performs his watch. You catch glimpses of his practiced routine, the way he tests the air for smoke direction, how he arranges additional fuel within arm's reach without ever looking down. His hands, illuminated by the ember's glow, are a map of survival. Scars from flint napping, calluses from rope making, nails permanently stained with walnut husk dye. When he thinks no one's watching, he pulls out the otlotl he's been carving and runs his thumb along its curve, checking for imperfections with fingertips that see better than eyes. A rustle comes from the children's sleeping area. Little Mira has wormed out of her fur cocoon and now pads barefoot toward the fire, drawn like a moth to its warmth. Jorik doesn't scold her. Nighttime curiosity is how youngsters learn. He simply shifts to make space as she crouches beside him, her tiny hands mimicking his as he feeds a stick to the flames. The firelight catches the downy hairs on her arms, turning them to copper wires, and for a moment the cave walls seem to ripple with the ghosts of all the children who've ever sat just so, watching guardians tend the eternal flame. Your half-closed eyes trace the paintings near the cave entrance, the running deer with its clever perspective trick that makes it appear to move when firelight dances across it. The artist, your great-aunt, perhaps, understood something about optics that wouldn't be discovered for 20,000 years. Next to it, a series of red dots follows the cave's natural contours, not random, you realize, but marking where the acoustics amplify chanting best. This cave isn't just shelter, it's a living instrument crafted by generations. A log shifts in the fire, sending up a shower of sparks that briefly illuminate the entire cavern. In that split second, the space transforms, the sleeping forms become a single organism rising and falling with breath. The tools leaning against walls stand at attention like silent sentinels. The painted animals seem to leap from the stone. Then darkness reclaims its territory, leaving only the afterimage burned into your retinas. Mira has fallen asleep against Jorik's shoulder, her chest rising and falling with the serene trust of the protected. He adjusts her gently without waking her, his hands remembering motions perfected over countless nights with his own children. The fire pops softly, its language understood by all present. We're still here. The night hasn't won yet. As you finally surrender to sleep, your mind drifts to tomorrow's tasks, the deer hide that needs scraping, the flint nodules hidden near the creek bend, the patch of ripening berries Denny mentioned. But beneath these practical thoughts runs a deeper current, the unshakable knowledge that you are exactly where you're meant to be, part of an unbroken chain stretching back to the first firemakers, forward to children not yet born. The last thing you feel isn't the scratch of grass beneath you or the weight of furs above, but the overwhelming rightness of belonging to this cave, these people, this precise moment in human history. Dawn creeps into the cave like a cautious hunter, first a pale glow at the entrance, then slender fingers of light probing deeper, revealing the sleeping forms and fragments. Someone's cough, the rustle of turning bodies, the soft sigh of a dreaming child, these are the sounds that nudge the band toward wakefulness. You blink grit from your eyes as the cave's familiar shapes sharpen into focus. The soot-blackened ceiling, the stacked firewood, the leather water bags hanging from stone protrusions. Cold air nips at your exposed skin as you push back the furs. The fire's overnight keeper, Jorik, now relieved by Brun, has kept the embers alive, but the cave's warmth has bled away into the stone. Your breath hangs visible for just a moment before vanishing, a fleeting reminder of how fragile your hold on heat truly is. Morning routines begin without words. Carla stretches with a series of audible pops, her joints protesting before she's even upright. Near the fire pit, Denny sorts through yesterday's medicinal harvest, her fingers moving swiftly to separate roots needing immediate processing from those that can dry. The rhythm is so ingrained that even the children participate wordlessly. 8-year-old Lauren rebuilds the fire with careful twig arrangements while his little sister gathers loose grasses to refresh the sleeping mats. You join the water-fetching party heading to the stream. The pre-dawn forest is a world transformed. Hoarfrost glazes every surface, crunching underfoot like shattered glass. Spider webs glitter with crystalline precision between branches, nature's lacework. The stream itself steams where icy water meets colder air, its song muted by the frost. As you fill the bladder bags, your hands ache from the cold, turning red then white at the knuckles. This is the hidden cost of water in winter, the calories your body burns just to recover from the immersion. Back in the cave, the fire's growing warmth is a physical relief. Rana has already begun breakfast, toasting strips of yesterday's venison on flat stones placed at the fire's edge. The smell, rich fat dripping onto hot stone, makes everyone's stomachs growl in unison. There's comfort in the shared hunger, a reminder that no one eats until all can eat. Old Senna holds court near the heat, her gnarled hands demonstrating cord making to 3 attentive girls. She twists plant fibers against her thigh with emotion, so fluid it seems like magic, until you notice how her swollen knuckles betray decades of repetition. The strength's not in the twist, she rasps, guiding a child's fingers, but in knowing when to add new strands. The lesson transcends cordage, it's the secret to community survival. As sunlight finally reaches the cave's interior, Brun calls the band together with a sharp clap. His announcement is unexpected. The hunters will range further today, following elk tracks spotted yesterday near the Salt Lake. It's a risk that territory borders another clan's hunting grounds. But the promise of salt, precious for preserving meat, and the elk's rich winter fat outweighs the danger. The gathering party will focus on processing yesterday's haul, no sense letting food spoil while chasing more. Preparations take on new urgency. Hunters test spear points with thumbnail taps, listening for the clear ping of good flint. Someone rubs rancid fat onto leather wraps, the stink helps mask human scent. Women braid extra cordage for emergency repairs, their fingers flying through patterns memorized since childhood. Even the children sense the shift, fetching tools without being asked. You're assigned to hide scraping, a brutal chore that leaves your arms burning after minutes. Using a flint scraper, you peel residual fat and muscle from the deer hide stretched between two stakes. The work stinks of iron and decay, but the rhythm becomes hypnotic. Scrape, turn, scrape. Each stroke transforms the stiff pelt into supple leather that will become clothing, shelter, storage. Nearby, others crack bones for marrow or grind nuts into flour. Waste is unimaginable when survival hangs on every calorie. By midday, the cave hums with industry. The hunters departed hours ago, their absence felt in the quieter atmosphere. But there's joy here too. Kessa starts a grinding song, its call and response structure keeping the nut-pounding rhythm steady. Someone else drums on a hollow log, the vibrations resonating through the cave's acoustically perfect spots marked by those ancient red dots. For a few precious hours, labor becomes celebration, each thunk of stone on nut a beat in humanity's oldest soundtrack. The light slants golden through the cave mouth when the first warning cry echoes up the trail. Your head snaps up. That particular bird call is no bird at all. Brun's lookout signal. Something's wrong. Tools become weapons in seconds. Women usher children toward the cave's rear while the able-bodied grab spears, knives, even fire-hardened digging sticks. Your pulse hammers in your throat as you take position beside a boulder, not hiding, but controlling the engagement zone. The silence is absolute now, every ear straining for clues. Then boots on stone. Labored breathing. Brun stumbles into view, his arm dripping crimson onto the frost. Behind him, two hunters support a limping third. Not attack. Brun gasps as the cave erupts into motion. Bear. The story tumbles out between wound treatments. The elk hunt was succeeding when a grizzly claimed their kill. In the skirmish, Torek took a claw swipe to the leg. They retreated, but not before Brun's spear found the beast's flank. It'll think twice before challenging humans again, he growls as Denny packs his wound with yarrow. As crisis shifts to recovery, you notice the unspoken truth. They abandoned the elk carcass. Winter just got harder. But when Torek groans in pain, the band's collective wince has nothing to do with meat. These aren't just survival partners. They're the people who will starve to feed you when sickness comes. That bond outweighs any feast. Night falls early on the exhausted cave. The fire burns low to conserve fuel, its light painting worried faces and flickering strokes. No stories tonight, just the quiet sounds of dressing wounds and soothing frightened children. You take the first watch, staring into the darkness beyond the firelight where unseen threats loom. But when your fingers brush the cave wall, they trace those ancient handprints beneath yours, a reminder every generation faced its bears. Some live to tell the tale. The cave exhales slowly in the pre-dawn gloom, its rhythms altered by yesterday's trauma. Torek's feverish moans punctuate the darkness, his leg wound radiating heat even from 3 paces away. Denny kneels in the firelight, crushing a paste of willow bark and honey between stones, the closest thing to antibiotics your world knows. The sweet, sharp scent cuts through the cave's stale air as she applies the poultice, her hands steady despite having worked through the night. You take over Firewatch from a haggard Brun, noting how the ember's glow reflects in his bloodshot eyes. He doesn't speak, none of you do, but his grip on your forearm lingers a second too long, conveying what words cannot. The silence isn't uncomfortable, it's the dense, weighted quiet of people conserving energy for survival. Even the children sense it, their usual morning chatter reduced to whispers as they sort through remaining food stores. Outside, a freezing rain begins, its needles tapping against the cave's limestone overhang. The sound would be soothing under different circumstances, but now it's a threat. Hunting will be impossible in this weather, and the gathering parties can't risk hypothermia for a few frozen tubers. Winter has officially declared war. Rana takes inventory with ruthless efficiency. 2 deer hides, half a basket of nuts, the precious honeycomb, some dried berries. Enough for 3 days if rationed strictly. Her hands pause over the last smoked meat portion, then deliberately splits it into smaller pieces. We eat today, she announces. not feasting, but just enough to keep strength up for the work ahead. No one argues. Hunger has been your lifelong teacher. The cave transforms into a survival workshop. Kessa and two others unravel spare clothing to reweave into rabbit snares. Old Senna directs children in grinding acorns, their small hands leaching out tannins through endless water changes. You join the hide-scraping team, working by feel when the dim light fails. The rhythm, scrape, turn, scrape, becomes meditation, your blistered hands forgetting pain as your mind fixates on making every millimeter of leather usable. Midday brings an unexpected reprieve. The rain stops abruptly, and weak sunlight reveals a forest glazed in ice. Branches droop under crystalline weight, fracturing light into rainbows. It's breathtakingly beautiful and utterly treacherous, until little Mira gasps and points. The ice storm has brought down a walnut tree at the clearing's edge, its branch is now accessible without climbing. The cave erupts into controlled frenzy. Within minutes, a harvesting party descends with baskets and axes. The ice-coated nuts require careful extraction. Slippery shells can mean broken fingers, but the bounty is staggering. Fat-rich walnuts, frozen but intact, pile up faster than you can count. Someone finds a squirrel's winter cache, adding a bonus of dried mushrooms. The mood shifts palpably. This isn't just food, it's hope crystallized. Back in the cave, the energy transforms. Rana toasts walnuts on flat stones, their earthy aroma masking the sin of fear that's lingered since the bear attack. Children giggle as they play ice harvest, using sticks to knock down icicles for water collection. Even Torek manages a weak smile when Denny presents him with a honey-coated walnut, precious calories for healing. As evening falls, Brun does something unprecedented. From a hidden crevice, he retrieves a wrapped bundle, the band's emergency reserve. 5 strips of jerky, a handful of dried berries, and a lump of rendered fat. Tonight we feast, he declares, adding it to the stew pot. The message is clear. Celebrating small victories is as vital as preparing for hardship. The stew simmers into a thick, fragrant mass. Walnuts thicken the broth, jerky provides protein, wild garlic cuts the richness. Everyone eats slowly, savoring each spoonful as if it's their first and last meal. Old Senna leads a gratitude chant, naming each element that contributed. For the ice that brought down the tree, for the squirrels who showed us their pantry, for the hands that prepared this. Later, as you bank the fire for the night, you notice the cave walls seem different. The painted animals no longer feel like decorations, but like ancestors watching over you. That bison with the spear in its flank? Maybe it's not a hunting lesson, but a reminder. Pain and plenty have always coexisted. The red handprints beside it aren't just art, they're signatures on a survival contract stretching across millennia. Torek's fever breaks near midnight. The relieved whispers ripple through the cave like a second dawn. Outside, the ice begins to melt. Its drip-drip a promise that winter's grip isn't permanent. You drift off imagining walnut saplings pushing through spring soil, their leaves unfurling in some future summer's sun. A strange new energy hums through the cave at dawn. Not the usual purposeful bustle, but something sharper, more electric. Torek sits upright for the first time since the attack, his hands trembling as he drinks bone broth from a carved wooden bowl. The steam rising to his gaunt face carries the scent of marrow and wild thyme, each sip visibly returning strength to his wasted muscles. Across the fire pit, Denny grinds the last of the willow bark into powder, her mortar and pestle scraping out a rhythmic declaration of survival. Outside, the world is thawing violently. Ice-laden branches crack like distant spear shots as they shed their crystalline burdens. The trail to the walnut tree has become a muddy river, forcing the gathering party to take a precarious route along the cliff face. You move in single file, each person testing footholds before committing weight. One misstep could send you sliding into the ravine below. The walnut harvest continues despite the danger, every nut counted and portioned with the precision of wartime rations. Back in the cave, innovation blooms from necessity. Kesta demonstrates a discovery to wide-eyed onlookers. Soaking walnut shells in hot water produces a dark, astringent liquid that stuns fish when poured into stream eddies. Tested it at sunrise, she says, displaying 3 fat trout. The band erupts into approving murmurs. This is the kind of breakthrough that gets remembered for generations. Old Senna nods sagely while tying knots in a cord, her gnarled fingers counting each successful catch as if tallying a spiritual debt repaid. The children, sensing the shift in fortunes, regain their playful energy. Lauren and Mira build a miniature hunting scene near the cave mouth, pebble-sized deer arranged along a twig trail, their walnut shell hunters lying in wait. You catch Brun watching them with an unreadable expression, his spear absently tracing defensive patterns in the dirt. When he notices your gaze, he simply says, "They learn faster than we did." There's pride in his voice, and something darker, the knowledge that this brutal teacher called Winter spares no one, not even its star pupils. As afternoon wanes, Rana unveils her masterstroke, acorn flour flatbreads cooked on heated stones, each one stuffed with shredded trout and wild garlic paste. The smell alone is revelatory, earthy, briny, herbaceous, but the first bite transports you. The bread's slight bitterness plays against the fish's oiliness, the garlic's punch tying it all together. This isn't just food, it's alchemy. Even the elders murmur in appreciation, their worn teeth managing the tender morsels with rare pleasure. During the meal, Brun stands abruptly. From his sleeping alcove, he retrieves an object wrapped in fox fur, his prized otlotl, its antler surface polished to a honeyed glow from years of use. Without ceremony, he places it in Jorik's hands. "Time the young blood learn proper throwing," he grunts. The cave falls silent. This isn't just tool sharing, it's the passing of a legacy. Jorik's throat works as he runs fingers over the carefully balanced weapon, understanding the weight of what he's been given. The moment shatters when a child's wail echoes from the cave entrance. Little Mira clutches her foot, a walnut shell sharp edge having sliced her heel. The cut is superficial, but Denny treats it with the gravity of a battlefield wound, washing it with boiled water, applying yarrow paste, wrapping it in the cleanest scrap of leather. Her actions are as much ritual as medicine, reinforcing the band's covenant. No one suffers alone here. Mira's tears dry quickly when Kessa presents her with a fish scale necklace, its iridescent discs catching the firelight. Night falls with a sense of equilibrium restored. The fire burns brighter tonight, fed by surplus wood now that immediate danger has passed. Someone starts a tapping rhythm on a hollow log, and soon the cave thrums with improvised music, knives clinking on stone, hands slapping leather, even the rasp of a bone comb drawn across a hide. It's discordant yet harmonious, like the band itself. Old Senna begins a story you've never heard before, her voice weaving through the rhythms. It tells of the first winter, when Crow stole embers from the sun to save the freezing humans. But the twist comes when Crow demands payment, not in meat or hides, but in stories. "So we owe," Senna concludes, her eyes reflecting the flames, which is why I'm settling debts tonight. The lesson hums beneath the tale. Knowledge is currency, and survival is a collective ledger. As you settle onto your sleeping mat, your fingers brush something unexpected, a tiny carved wolf, left anonymously on your furs. Its contours are crude but unmistakable, the kind of toy a child might make to thank the adult who carried extra nuts for them. You clutch it tightly, this physical proof of belonging, as the cave's breathing slows around you. Outside, the last ice crashes from the trees in great crystalline shards, their shattering like applause for a performance only the stars witnessed. The final dawn breaks clear and brittle, sunlight refracting through lingering ice crystals in the cave's entrance like 1,000 scattered diamonds. You wake to an unfamiliar sensation: warmth. The fire has been built up beyond necessity, its heat pressing against your face like a living thing. Rana stands over the flames, rendering the last trout fat in a stone bowl, her silhouette haloed by rising steam. There's ceremony in her movements. This isn't just cooking, it's alchemy transforming ordinary meal into winter's farewell feast. Children already dart through the cave's periphery, their laughter echoing off the walls as they play a new game, Hunter and Caribou, with Mira proudly brandishing a stick as Brun's otlotl. The weapon's real owner watches from the shadows, his face unreadable until the girl executes a perfect throwing motion. Then his beard parts in a white flash of teeth, the first full smile since the bear attack. You join the water-gathering party, the morning frost crunching underfoot with satisfying crispness. The stream runs high with meltwater, its current carrying twigs and last year's leaves in a frenzied dance. As you fill the bladder bags, something catches your eye, a fleck of gold in the stream bed. Not metal, but pollen from early blooming willows, the season's first whisper of change. The sight sends a visceral thrill through you. Winter's back has been broken. Back in the cave, the air thrums with purposeful energy. Kessa and Denny sort through remaining supplies with renewed optimism, their fingers lingering less anxiously on each portion. The walnut harvest has been consolidated into tightly woven baskets sealed with pine resin, a treasure that will see the band through until spring's first greens emerge. Someone has arranged the last strips of jerky into a spiral pattern on a flat stone, turning necessity into temporary art. Midday brings an unexpected gift. The hunters return with a scrawny but living wild goat, its legs bound with expertly tied cordage. Found it trapped in a ravine, Jorik explains as the children crowd around to touch its shaggy coat. This isn't just meat on the hoof, it's a living larder that can be milked if kept alive. The decision is made instantly. The goat will be pinned near the cave entrance, its care assigned to the children as their first communal responsibility. Mira immediately names it Cloud for its pale gray fleece, and no one corrects her. As afternoon wanes, the band gathers for an unspoken ritual. Old Cinna settles onto her favorite stone seat, the one that catches the last sunlight, and begins unwrapping something from an oiled hide bundle. The children fall silent when they see what it is, the story bones. Carved from a bear's knuckles generations ago, each etched with symbols only elders fully understand. She casts them onto a flat rock with a clatter that makes the goat startle. Ah, Senna murmurs, tracing the pattern they formed. The traveling moon. Her story unfolds like the season itself, slow at first, then unstoppable. She tells of a time when winter refused to release its grip, until the women of all tribes pooled their knowledge. Where to find dormant bulbs, how to dig frozen grubs, which tree barks could be boiled into sustenance. The tale's power lies not in its drama, but in its quiet truth. Survival has always been a collaborative act, its secrets passed hand to hand like precious embers. The storytelling merges seamlessly into evening preparations. As Rana roasts the last venison scraps with wild onions, others work on less tangible sustenance. Brun sharpens tools while murmuring hunting tips to Jorik. Kessa teaches adolescents to identify edible lichens. Even little Mira sits with Torik, solemnly helping him braid cordage with his still weak hands. When the meal is served, it's accompanied by something rarer than honey hope. The conversation turns inevitably toward spring plans. The hunting grounds to explore, the berry patches that will fruit first, the flint deposits near the summer river. The goat bleats loudly during a pause, as if adding its opinion, and the cave erupts in laughter that feels like the first true thaw. As night deepens, you take first watch at the cave mouth. The stars blaze with cold intensity, their patterns as familiar as the scars on your hands. Somewhere out there, wolves sing to the rising moon, their voices weaving through the trees like invisible threads connecting all living things. The sound no longer seems threatening, it's just another note in the symphony you've learned to decipher. Inside, the fire burns low but confident, its glow painting the walls in liquid gold. The painted animals seem to stir in the flickering light, the bison pawing the ground, the deer turning their heads. For a heartbeat, the boundary between then and now dissolves. You see not a cave, but the cradle of humanity itself, where every skill and story was forged in the crucible of necessity. The grass mat beneath you, the furs around your shoulders, the stone tools at your belt, they're not primitive artifacts, but masterpieces of survival engineering. Your fingers find the tiny carved wolf in your pouch, its rough edges smoothed by constant handling. In some distant future, archaeologists might classify this as a ritual object or toy. But you know its truth. It's a covenant, a promise that no one survives alone. The cold wind carries the scent of earth waking from frost, and you breathe it deep into your lungs. Tomorrow will bring fresh challenges, but tonight, there is only this perfect equilibrium, the fire's warmth at your back, the stars' cold gaze ahead, and the quiet breathing of your people all around you.